over the last 3 years, I realized that YouTube is an absolute goldmine when it comes to education. Everything from wealth, health, relationship, various skills, and my personal favorite, self-improvement. In today's video, I'll be sharing 5 of my favorite lessons from 5 different creators, lessons that I've personally tested, filtered out, and deemed to be most impactful that I apply to my daily life. Hey, what's up you guys? My name's Christian. I'm a certified occupational therapist and I help people live independent and fulfilling lives. On this channel, we discuss real life lessons that can help you level up in the game of life. The first lesson I want to share is to always be challenging yourself. Now, this is a lesson that I've learned from 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝘀𝘁, who is an entrepreneur, a creator on YouTube, and most recently, the author of a book called The Art of Focus. I've yet to read that book. I do plan to in the future. But 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝘀 shares this concept that in order to really enjoy life and to constantly improve, you have to keep challenging yourself. Now, this may sound like a very, very simple concept, but I think many people forget that. Because many of us went through school and we're taught to, constantly learn, educate, push ourselves. But the moment we start working, a lot of us tend to go through this phase of stagnation. We don't seek more information, we don't seek more skills, we just simply clock into work, mindlessly work, drone away, and then clock out for work. And that's what we do. And then years and years pass by and we kind of wonder, where did all the time go? Why aren't we improving on our lives, right? 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝘀 shares this concept where we need to be very mindful of how we use technology, and the reason for that is because technology can be a huge distraction that takes away a lot of time for us, or it can be a goldmine of information. Now, personally for me, I discovered 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝘀 when I was very early on in my self-development journey, and he taught me that there's so much information on the internet to be obtained as long as I'm willing to seek it. And once I learned this, I started to be a little bit more mindful of how I use the internet. Like for example, when I'm driving to work, I would always put on something on YouTube to learn about something new. I have a list of creators, like I'm sharing in this video, on lessons I'm trying to learn, what I'm trying to improve on, whether it be wealth, health, relationships, can be anything, whatever your goals are, right? But be mindful of how you're using technology and always be challenging yourself. You have to improve on your knowledge, you have to improve on your skills if you want to get better in the game of life. And that there is lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is that in order to build wealth, you have to invest. This is a lesson that I've learned from 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀𝘁, the person who is in charge of running Minority Mindset, a successful YouTube channel that focuses on financial education. But he teaches the whole concept that you have to save your money, not simply just to save it, but to actually invest it in order to own assets. Because you see, in our world today, we're not really taught much about financial education. And early on in my self-development journey, I was very focused on financial freedom. I wanted to figure out how can I create a living where I don't have to be forced to go to work in order to, pay for all my daily expenses. Now, he is a huge advocate for something he calls the decade of sacrifice, where for a whole decade, you essentially want to live below your means, try to spend as little as possible in order to purchase all these assets, either through real estate, stocks, there's many different things. I'm not an expert to teach you on that, but essentially you need to have this mindset whenever you make money, that main purpose of making that money is in order to invest it in something that can grow with time. Now, the majority of people in the world tend to spend money by going into debt, by buying liabilities, which are essentially things that go down in value, and then they wonder why they can't get rich and they have to constantly work simply to get by. And this is why it's so important to understand that you need to come up with a lifestyle where you're spending below your means. Come up with a lifestyle where you're able to save some of that money and have a plan for how you're going to use that money in order to build the financial future that you want. And honestly, what I really took away is that you need to really evaluate your day-to-day life, right? How are you living? What are you spending on? And come up with a plan, right? A plan in order to invest at a consistent basis. For me personally, I set up a program where I DCA, I dollar cost average into the stock market, so money is automatically extracted from my paycheck and is put into stocks, the S&P 500, all these sorts of stuff in order to kind of grow my wealth. Now, everybody's strategy on this is going to be different, but if you're someone who, really prioritizes actually improving on your wealth, then you need to understand how this concept. You simply cannot just work and hope for the best. You need to come up with a plan on how you're going to use that money in order to grow it for the financial future that you want. Lesson number 3 is to prioritize creating value to the world. Now, this is a lesson that I've learned from 𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 scale their businesses. But what I really took away from him is that the world runs in a way where the more problems you solve, the more value that you give, the more money you're going to bring to yourself. So taking off my last lesson, if you're someone who's prioritizing building wealth, right? You want to make more money, then you need to focus on what is the value that you can give to people. So you can kind of see how everything is tying together, because ultimately you're trying to improve yourself, gain new knowledge, new skills, you're trying to improve on your finances, and now you have this whole component that as you gain all this information, you need to now compile it and share it out in order to give value to other people. And this is how 𝗧𝗶𝗺𝗀𝘀 helps scale scale all these multi-million-dollar businesses, right? He understands that the customer needs to know that they can gain something from you. And that's the whole reason that I actually created this YouTube channel, why I started speaking on here. Like, sure, I might be getting better, I might need some practice, but I understand that as I do this, hopefully I'm helping at least a few people out there. And if I'm doing that, I'm creating more value to the world, and ultimately it will bring more opportunities in the future. So whatever it is that you're doing in life, just understand this, that as you go through the game of life, you need to constantly improve and you need to turn all those skills and knowledge into a way that you can provide value to other people, solve more problems, right? And that there's the secret why some people are a lot more successful in their jobs, why some entrepreneurs succeed and some don't, because they understand that they need to give value to people that need it. You need to solve problems, and that's simply how the world functions. And that there is lesson number 3. Now, if you're enjoying the content up to this point, don't forget to smash the like button and let me know down in the comments what you think or any lessons that are helping you out. I'm just looking to understand better how I can serve my audience to give better value on this channel. Now, let's get back to the video. Lesson number 4 is to prioritize what you give a fuck about. This is a lesson that I've learned from Mark Mason, the author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Please bleep that out, please, Dave. But essentially, Mark Mason teaches this whole concept that you only have so much attention to actually give everything in your life, because there's so many things happening and you have so much attention and energy that you need to prioritize what you give your attention to. For the majority of people, we are paying way too much attention to things that don't really matter, right? We're so worried about like some sort of news that we can't really control. We're worried about, what our people are thinking about us. So we need to start asking ourselves what is important to us and where should we dedicate that energy to? Because ultimately, if you're worrying about a lot of things that you can't control, that is not going to change no matter how much you worry about it, that it's not really going to help you out at all. You're just going to increase your stress, you're going to be worried about stuff, you won't have energy to actually pursue the things that you want to do. So you need to start prioritizing things and not giving a damn about things that don't matter. So once I understood this concept, I started to really think about, how can I improve on myself, right? What are the projects I need to work on? I need to work on this YouTube channel, I need to focus on my careers, I need to focus on my relationship with my wife, and every other thing is going to be distractions. And once I started doing that, I started to see little improvements in the things that I'm focusing on, because now my focus isn't scattered out everywhere, right? And the majority of people, they're way too distracted to focus on the things that do matter. So at least take away from this lesson that you need to prioritize what you do give an F about, and that is going to help you out in the long run. Now, lesson number 5 is to find the fun in life. Now, this was a lesson that I've gained from Ali Abdaal. Now, he is a very successful YouTuber, also the author of a book called Feel Good Productivity. And essentially, he mentions that in order to have sustainable productivity, to really enjoy the process and to be as productive as possible, you need to find the fun in what you're doing. Now, I think this is such a powerful concept because oftentimes when we think of productivity, when we think of getting shit done, we simply think about discipline, forcing our way through, not really screwing our emotions. But Ali Abdaal kind of mentions that if you want to stay productive, you need to somehow find the fun in what you're doing, right? For example, when I'm doing these YouTube videos, it's not exactly the easiest thing to do. I'm not very good on camera, I'm kind of antisocial, but I've really learned to enjoy the process, right? I've kind of sat down, thought about my ideas, tried to come up with concepts and lessons that I've learned, and to find kind of a nice reward system as I finish this video, right? Maybe after I finish this video, I can play some video games, have a little nice reward for myself. And honestly, whatever the process is, you need to somehow enjoy it, right? Because life is going to be very, very difficult, and if we're constantly being bombarded by just difficult task after difficult task after difficult task, and we're not being rewarded for any of it, we encounter something called burnouts, right? Which a lot of us has felt before. We need to make sure that we're constantly rewarding ourselves, enjoying the whole process, and if we're not, we need to start asking ourselves why and figuring out a solution. Because ultimately, you're not a machine. You need to find a way to be sustainably productive for the long term, and that at least is the 5th lesson that I want to leave you with. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content, go ahead and smash the like button and go ahead and check out this video over here on the 7 things that I've learned from reading the book Feel Good Productivity. So that's about it. Thank you so much for watching, and until the very next one, take care. Peace.